form does that take in the B2B world?
I'm sure there are many different ways of approaching it.
I'm speaking today with Sujit Singh. He is Chief Operating Officer of Arkieva. Sujit, welcome.
Thank you, Bob.
Let's talk about the issue of B2B or business-to-business demand sensing and shaping. I'm interested in how what we've seen in the area of B2C, business to consumer, is or is not migrating over to the B2B space. Tell me about how that progress is going.
So in the B2C space, we have seen these words being thrown around for a long time, where companies have taken to sensing through the use of point of sale data, POS data, to try and make sense of which way the demand is headed, whether this weekend was particularly strong, whether a particular product is trending up or trending down. And they use that data to sense which way the demand is headed, and if they have certain related goals with the sales of those particular products, then they take the next step of using promotional activities to shape the demand so that they can achieve those goals. I mean, the classic would be, if a particular product is not selling very well, run a buy one get one on it and get the inventory out. So now you have sensed that it's not selling and then shape the demand by doing the promotion. In the B2B world, and especially when we talk about B2B world, I'm thinking of companies that are 4 or 5 steps removed from the end consumer. These techniques are not available. I mean, in the chemical world, if you try to do a buy one, get one rail car free, I don't know if that really works. And I don't know if that's actually a good strategy. So we put our heads to this problem and tried to see if there are certain tools available in this upstream manufacturing environment to the companies that are selling primarily to companies who are then selling to other companies and so on, and then ultimately the product reaches the consumer. And so that's what we call the B2B demand sensing. And then follow on from there, then we gave it further thought around how they could use some of their data to shape it.
So how do you have to redefine the whole concept of demand sensing when you're in the B2B world? Obviously, as you say, there are certain similarities, but these differences make it necessary to take a somewhat different approach. So what is that different approach? How do you change?
So in the B2C world, the signal that we are getting from the marketplace is the POS, or the point of sale data. That is clearly telling us that the customer pool is really liking this product or not liking it. In the B2B world, like I mentioned, that is not available, but what is available is a data stream called the open orders, or the orders that are yet to be fulfilled. And depending on the business you are in, these data streams are available with a lead time of 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 4 weeks, in some very peculiar cases, maybe only 1 day, but very often in B2B world, it's 4 to 6 weeks of advance notice on these open orders. So de facto, these are a representation of the demand independent of what you forecasted. Because your forecast might be saying that your demand is headed one way, but your open order stream might be saying that it's headed another way. If you take this open order stream and put some statistical analysis to it, it's very clearly possible to devise some predictive analytics out of it to say what percentage of your demand at the end of the month is available to you as an open order, let's say 6 weeks in advance, and 5 weeks in advance, and 3 weeks in advance. And you can use this to create predictive profiles, and then use these profiles to do an idea of demand sensing, where you can very clearly see 3-4 weeks ahead of your month's closing, whether or not you're going to meet your targets, whether you are going to be above or below. And if you are able to clearly agree with that, then the next step, for example, could be to do some demand shaping around it.
And the demand shape, what form does that take in the B2B world? We've talked about what it takes in the B2C, 2-for-1 offers and stuff like that. Can't do that in B2B. So what is demand shaping in B2B?
So I'm sure there are many different ways of approaching it. The way we have looked at this is that in the B2B world, the demand is generated either by a customer making a phone call, or a CSR generating a phone call towards the customer. And a CSR can generate a phone call in normal day-to-day practice of what you would call good customer relations. Once you have the demand sensing data available, which says that demand is either weak or strong and you need to take some remedial measures, the customer service reps as a group can then begin to look at the data in a little bit more detail And if you're familiar with e-commerce, it is today possible to order products on a frequency. And if you do that enough, the companies will evaluate and tell you, hey, for example, in my case, Sujit, you seem to be ordering this product every 6 weeks. Do you want to go on a routine here, and we will just send it to you every 6 weeks? So this type of a study on the frequency, the interval of each order, and the size of each order. You can apply some very simple statistical analysis to it and give the CSRs the tools available, which says this customer orders this product typically on this frequency. It has been more than that today, and therefore the time is right for us to give them a call. This customer last time ordered half their amount. They must have run out by now. Time is right for us to give them a call. Any customer who buys this product also buys these other products, but this particular customer does not. The time is right for us to introduce them the idea that, hey, we supply these other products as well. Why aren't you buying it from us, or are you buying it from somewhere else? What's different about your manufacturing that is enabling you to not buy this product? So these are some examples of generating extra demand. When we have implemented these types of things, we have seen $1 million plus extra revenues in first months of these types of.
Because in such situations you may be several tiers removed from the ultimate customer, who, as we all know, can be quite fickle and unpredictable. Does that make it a little bit easier to do demand sensing and shaping at the B2B level, or does it have its own challenges that just make it just as complicated, but in a different way?
I think everything has, positives and negatives. The principal theory, when you are looking at things further upstream, is the bullwhip effect. That every downstream activity has an impact, and it's magnified as you go further and further up in the supply chain. So while the theoretical element is easy, the data element is very easily available. You don't even have to go to some other company to get the POS data. All of that open order stream is available. So that makes it easy. Because of the bullwhip effect, the odds of having a huge miss are probably higher as well. If, like in any statistical science, if there are many customers buying these products, they tend to average things out, and then you basically get to a good spot. If you have products that are being bought only by 1 or 2 or 3 customers, the variability due to the bullwhip effect could be higher, and that can lead to some erroneous conclusions or judgments.
Yeah, so higher stakes in some ways. Does S&OP, sales and operations planning, play a role in the B2B side as it does in the B2C side, and can also be employed, or is that a different issue entirely?
Well, S&OP is just a good way of running a business. If you are thinking about running a business, you don't want to be always firefighting and dealing with the issue du jour. You want to be looking forward, and S&OP provides us a process and a mechanism to do that. So it applies just as well to B2B as well as to B2C. What the B2B demand sensing and shaping allows us to do is to make additional tools available to the executives, so that when they are sensing that the plan is not going to be met, it allows them to do something about it, which was available in the B2C world beforehand. And now, if these techniques work, they are also then becoming available in the B2B world. Okay,
so give us a final report card on how companies are actually utilizing demand sensing and shaping in the B2B universe. How advanced are they in that area?
From what I have seen, not much at all. In the B2C world, it's very, very advanced. In the B2B world, these words are not even used in my experience. And so when we have talked about this with companies, it has been somewhat of an education as to what is demand shaping, because that is not a way they have been thinking about. That's just not entered the parlance of the B2B world. That has been my experience. So I would say if some work is being done, it's still in the beginning stages, and there's a lot of ground to be covered and a lot of ground to be discovered, and maybe techniques to be invented.
Well, it sounds like it's going to happen and will enter the parlance of the B2B world quite soon, based on what you're saying here. So, Sujit, I want to thank you so much for clarifying and helping us to understand the whole issue of demand sensing and shaping as it moves into the B2B universe. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks for the opportunity, Bob.
I've been speaking with Sujit Singh of Arkieva. Thank you very much for watching.